All right, gentlemen. So thank you all for joining us today in our virtual tie ceremony. We're actually making history if you think about it. We're doing something outside of traditional norms, but still trying to preserve our history here at Gus Garcia. We are one of the few schools that honors what it is to be a young leader, a young man, and above all, brothers to one another. So why are we gathered here today? We are gathered here to talk about what it means to be a man, and not just a man. I mean, a Gus Garcia man. We're also here to talk about what's the importance of the tie and why we instill that value in each and every one of you here at Gus Garcia YMLA. So, as we start, please acknowledge that we're going to be recording this for students that are virtual and may not be able to check in today. Again, staff members, as we're going through the presentation, your words count tremendously. So, at any point, if you feel like you need to jump in and say something, please jump in and say something. As we continue through the ceremony, we do have two young men here that are going to help me throughout the presentation at various points, because again, student voice is very important. And we want to make sure that as Gus Garcia men, not just the staff, but also the students and the parents in the community are included along the way. So let's go ahead and start this show. So here at Gus Garcia, the first step in learning about the tie and what it means, it all goes back to our values and principles. And who can tell me where we find those values and principles? Pop quiz. Y'all didn't think you were going to get in a test today, but who can tell me where do we get those values and principles? I'll give you a hint. We say it all the time. Dante, I see your hand. Who can say it? Where?
The creed.
The awesome Gus Garcia YMLA creed. That creed is our foundation. It's who we are as a community and who we want to be moving forward. So let's hear that awesome Gus Garcia creed.
I am
A young man,
I am
my brother's keeper.
I take
Responsibility for my actions and the actions of my brothers.
I take
Pride in my community and will work to make it a better place.
I pledge
To work hard in my classroom as well as my extracurricular arena.
I pledge
To be a positive influence and successful in everything that I do.
I will
Be a college man, a global citizen, and a lifelong learner.
I will
Be your friend, your brother, and your leader. I look good, I feel good, I am a Gus Garcia man.
Those words are so powerful. So we are here to talk about what it means again to be a Gus Garcia man. Estamos aquí para hablar por qué somos hombres de Gus Garcia, por qué usamos corbata todos los días, qué simbólica tienen las corbatas y qué hace para nosotros en motivarnos como hombres en usar las corbatas aquí en la escuela. So, todo esto tiene la fundación en las palabras que miramos todos los días que decimos para unirnos unos a los otros como hermanos, ayudarnos y soportar a unos a los otros para que todos sobresalgan en esta escuela y sobre todo con sus académicas. So I do have two young men and they're going to actually read the creed, because one thing is seeing it on video, but it is 10 times more powerful when you hear it directly from our students. So we're going to start with the English one. Pedro, take it away.
All right, here we go. I am a young man. I am my brother's keeper. I take responsibility for my actions and the actions of my brothers. I take pride in my community and will work to make it a better place. I pledge to work hard in my classroom as well as in my extracurricular arena. I pledge to be a positive influence and successful in everything that I do. I will be a college man, a global citizen, and a lifelong learner. I will Be
Your
your friend,
friend,
your
your
brother,
brother,
and your
and your
leader.
leader.
I
I
look
look
good,
good.
I
I
feel
feel
good,
good.
I
I
am
am
a
a
Gus
Gus
Garcia
Garcia
man.
man.
Chills down my back. I look good. I feel good. I am a Gus Garcia man. And not last but not least, we want to make sure we're honoring all the cultures here on our school. So as we know, we are a dual language campus, and we got to make sure that we honor all the different cultures. And believe me, there's many cultures that are represented here at Gus Garcia. One of them being Spanish, so we are going to do it in those languages as well. We have Anthony here to lead us in the Spanish Creed, which was created this year in collaboration with Ms. Frontoba. So big shout out to Ms. Frontoba who translated the creed so that we can have it in Spanish. Take it away, Anthony.
Soy un
Soy un
hombre
hombre
joven,
joven,
el criador de
creador
mis
de
hermanos,
hermanos,
como
como
responsabilidad,
responsabilidad,
pasión y obligación. Hermanos,
hermano.
estoy
Estoy
orgulloso de mi comunidad y voy a
y voy a
trabajar
trabajar
por
por
un hogar
un lugar
mejor.
mejor.
Yo
Yo
prometo
puedo
trabajar
trabajar
en
en
clases
clases
y también tareas
extracurriculares,
extracurriculares con influencia
influencia positiva,
exitosa
exitosa
en
en
todo lo que haga.
cada
Voy a ser
es
un estudiante universitario,
necesario
un cuidador de tu enfermedad a través de mi vida. Voy a
voy a
ser tu
ser tu
amigo
amigo,
y
líder.
voy a
Voy a
verme
ver
bien, sentirme
sentirme
bien.
bien,
Soy un
soy un
hombre.
hombre.
Man, I love those chills. Awesome. So again, remember, it all goes back to this creed. Gentlemen, when you think you're having a bad day, when you think somebody's there, when you think there's nobody there to support you, remember, you belong to Gus Garcia. There is always going to be somebody there to uplift you. There is always going to be somebody there to remind you that these creeds, these words represent and mean something. So why do we have a tie ceremony? You know, growing up, I'll be very honest with you, I grew up in poverty. My parents didn't have a lot of money. To be honest with you, I didn't even know what a tie was probably until I got to like your age, middle school. And I had to go to a quinceañera, or I can't even remember what it was, at a wedding. And my mom and pop said, we need to dress real nice and we need to go get you a tie. I didn't even know what a tie was. And for me, thinking back now and reflecting on when my father first gave me that tie, I realized now that it was a rite of passage. When I put that tie on and I went to that quinceañera and I was looking good, feeling good, I realized that tie is a very powerful message out in our community. It establishes confidence. It builds leadership. It communicates that you are successful. And above all, especially here at Gus Garcia, when we all wear the same symbolic ties, whether it's purple, silver, or both colors, it unifies us. It builds that brotherhood. I was talking to a student today who said, you know, I want to feel like I belong. And this is the best school where you can feel like you belong because we have this unifying tie ceremony. We are all crossing this rite of passage together. We are all saying this means something to us. So why is this tie ceremony important? Shout out, another quiz. Who can tell me? Why is this tie ceremony so important to each and every one of you? Feel free to unmute yourself.
Leadership,
Awesome.
success, brotherhood,
Ooh, I love that. Brotherhood. Shout it out. Keep it coming, guys. I want
unity, confidence.
You know, every time I see you guys walking the halls and you're wearing your ties, you're walking straight. You're walking with pride. You're walking with confidence. You are saying, I am a Gus Garcia man. So let's continue on with our tie ceremony. So one of the things is that you can never be overdressed. If you want to be successful, it all starts with what you wear and what you decide to put on that morning. You know, it doesn't matter. So I do want to hear from our two students that are here. What does it mean when you put on that tie? Pedro?
When
When
I
I
put
put
on a tie,
it's because it makes me feel respected. Because when you get a tie like one of these, it means that you have accomplished great things in this school and that you have honored the creed by the brotherhood name. So when people see you wearing this tie, they can respect you and honor you like a respectable young man like everybody here.
Awesome. Anybody else want to communicate what does it do when you put on that tie? Anthony, do you want to share? Are you on mute?
When you wear
Red
tie,
tie,
you
you
look
look
good,
like
you
you
don't,
don't,
because
because
it
it
makes you
makes
look
you
more
look more
professional
professional and
people
People
see
see
like
like
see
see
you,
you,
oh,
oh,
that
that
kid
kid
is
just
ready to
ready to
learn.
learn.
He
He
doesn't
doesn't
think
think
that
that
he's
he's
better
better
than
than
others,
others,
and he
and he
doesn't
doesn't
think bad
think
about
bad
other
about other
students,
students,
and
and
like
like
he
he
just
just
keeps
keeps
his
his
mind on
mind
the
on the
game.
game,
And
and
a
the time
tie is something that it could go through you for like from middle school all the way when you're grown up.
Thank you for sharing that, gentlemen. So again, estamos aquí porque las corbatas simbolizan confidencia, líderes, suceso. Cuando uno se pone una corbata, estamos comunicando a todos que yo voy a sobresalir, que yo soy alguien en esta comunidad, que yo estoy vistiéndome por usted, por respeto, para enseñarles que yo quiero hacer algo en mi vida. Like our two gentlemen, Pedro and Anthony just shared, everybody's unique experience when they put on that tie is very special to them, and it's going to communicate different things. But at the end of the day, it unifies us in our common goal to build you up as men. So, cuando nos ponemos una corbata, va a ser un símbolo muy diferente para cada uno de nosotros. Cada quien va a tener una experiencia diferente. Pero cuando nos miran con corbata en la comunidad, siempre van a decir, mira a ese jovencito, mira a ese hombre. Ese hombre va a ser un líder en esta comunidad. Ese hombre va a sobresalir. It just communicates professionalism, and it commands respect as well, too. Do any of our staff members want to share? Because I know our staff wears ties, too.
I want to share something, even though I don't wear a tie. When I
Yeah.
was a little girl, my dad would go to work in the morning, and I used to love to watch him tie his tie. And when he passed away, I asked my mom if I could keep all his ties, and I made a quilt out of his ties. And now I get to have that quilt with the ties on them. But I remember, just like Mr. Mejia said, putting on a tie meant something special, like you were going to go celebrate something or do something of importance. So two things, celebration and importance are the things that come to my mind. And what I think when I see you guys put on your ties, I think these young men are celebrating themselves. They're celebrating who they are. They're celebrating how hard they're working, their goals, their dreams. They're celebrating. And it's important. It symbolizes like it's something important. I'm gonna go do something important. And what could be more important than you? You're the most important thing to yourself. You're gonna be the one who's gonna be with you your whole life, and you're the one that's gonna see yourself through whatever comes your way to make your dreams come true. So I think about that, and I think this is great. Men who wear ties look more handsome than they normally do if they don't wear a tie, because they're dressed up. They look like more fancy, more put together, and that commands, in my book, respect. So that's what I wanted to share about ties.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez, for sharing that. And I see a student had their hand raised. If you're that student that had your hand raised, do you want to share what you wanted to share? All right, any staff member, last call?
Well, I was just very impressed coming to Garcia because I've been, walked down the halls and I see y'all look so professional, and it just makes me feel like you care about yourself, you care, are perceived to everyone else, and we perceive you as gentlemen, which is just good people who care about one another and yourselves, which is very important, like Ms. Ramirez said.
Thank you, Ms. Archer. So again, you heard from the students, you hear from the staff. It is a great honor to be able to wear a tie in middle school. I wish I could go back and redo middle school and go to a school like Gus Garcia YMLA, to be honest with you. It's great
I
for
like
each and every one of you all. So why the tie? Again, that's going to be the main theme today. Why? Why? Because we want you all to be successful in life. When you wear the tie at such a young age, we're getting you ready for college and career readiness. When you go out there to apply for jobs, any type of job, I don't care which job you're applying to, I'm always going to recommend our young men to remember this important tip: wear your tie. I can't stress that enough. Dress for the job you want. Sometimes it may be that you're applying for a job that's an entry job, right? It's maybe not the job you want right now, but it's the job you're going for. Dress for the job you want 5, 10, 20 years from now. I'm going to share a little personal story with you because that's how I learned, right? I learned through storytelling. So I'm going to tell you a story of when I was in high school with my fellow friend. He was applying for a job at HEB. He was going to be one of those push carts people, right? You know, when you go to the grocery store, you put your cards and you just leave them there in the parking lot. He was going to be that man that was going to pick them up, put them back inside the store. So when he was going to go apply, we were talking about it, and he was very nervous about it. He said, I'm just going to wear, you know, my regular blue jeans and my t-shirt and go apply. Well, that night he had a conversation with his father. His father probably gave him the best advice that anybody could ever give him. He said, son, I don't care what kind of job you're going to go to. You're representing our family. You're representing our community. Wear a tie. So his response was, what for? I'm just going to go push carts. What am I going to wear a tie for? When I'm out there doing that job, it doesn't require a tie. And his father told him this, you're not dressing for the job right now. You're dressing for your future job. So needless to say, he put on his white shirt, his brown pants, put on his tie, marched his way to HEB, fully dressed, and they hired him on the spot. And guess what? When his boss hired him, and he tells me this story all the time, his boss flat out told him, I hired you out of the 20 people that applied because you were the only one who wore the tie and suit. You dress for success. So I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. But wait, the story doesn't stop there. It's been now 15 years since he applied for that job. He is now a district manager of HEBs. And I said that right, HEBs, not just one HEB, not two HEBs. He's in charge of multiple HEBs. And it all goes back to that origin story. He made a choice to dress for success. He made a choice to listen to his father. He made a choice to say, I'm dressing not for the job right now, but for my future job. So, hombres, ¿por qué nos ponemos una corbata? Yo tengo un amigo que iba a aplicar en HEB para recoger los carritos y su papá un día le dijo, ¿cómo te vas a vestir para aplicar a la posición? Y él dijo, no, nomás me voy a poner una mezclilla, una camisa. Su papá le dijo, no, quiero que te pongas una camisa, una corbata, porque no estás entrevistando para un trabajo ahorita. Estás entrevistando para el trabajo que quieres 5, 10, 20 años a la carrera. So, mi amigo escuchó a su papá, fue a aplicar, fue a hacer entrevista. De 20 personas que entrevistaron, a él le dieron el trabajo porque fue el único que se puso la corbata. Ahora él no pucha carros. Ahora es el manejante de varios HEVs. So, uno nunca sabe dónde tu carrera te va a llevar, pero todo empieza en cómo te vistes, qué comunicas en tu vestuario, y todo eso es muy importante. So, siempre les voy a recomendar, pónganse en una corbata. So, gentlemen, you heard my personal story. Make your personal story a reality too. Wear your tie to success. So, dressing well is a form of good manners. I think we talked about that. When you're dressing up, you're telling people, I care about my well-being, but I also care about what you see in me, right? And I'll be the first one to say, when I was in middle school, I wore the baggy pants, I wore the baggy shirts. I'll be very honest with you. That took me nowhere. And yes, it may be the fashion now, but I'm going to challenge you. Is the fashion now going to get you a job? Is the fashion of today going to pay your bills? Is the fashion of today going to make you that district manager of multiple HEBs? Or who knows, the future boss of Tesla, Hewlett-Packard, Dell. It doesn't matter what you end up being. It all starts with how you dress for that position. So you may not know it, but there are different jobs that require wearing a tie. And you may say, well, I'm going to do this. I really don't see anybody in my job wearing a tie, or I'm going to do that. Trust me, there's always going to be a special occasion in every profession where you're going to have to wear a tie, whether you're a banker, a lawyer, a politician, a news anchor, an MBA. It doesn't matter what culture, whether you're Hispanic, white, African-American, Asian, Indian, it does not matter. Every culture has a professional attire that communicates success. And that's why we're here today, to talk about that, because all of you represent your cultures. All of you represent who you are with your family and out in the community. And if putting it as simple as a tie communicates success, I recommend you do it proudly, because you are a Gus Garcia man. So, las corbatas, cuando van a cualquier trabajo, si van a ser un banquero, un abogado, un político, van a estar en las noticias o van a jugar deportes, no importa. Siempre va a haber una oportunidad de que se vistan y se pongan una corbata. Es importante que empiecen hoy, porque nunca saben dónde los va a llevar en la vida. So, gentlemen, you may say, well, I'm going to be a basketball player. Well, here's my main man, LeBron James. Do you know that teams that require their athletes to dress up before the games are 10 times more successful and 10 times more likely to win a game than those that don't require a dress policy? And you may see it now. Most teams will dress up when they travel. You see them get out of those charter buses in their billion-dollar cars, whatever. They always get down in a suit and tie because those coaches know a team that looks good, feels good, has a better chance of winning. And that's what we're trying to do here with you gentlemen at Gus Garcia. We are trying to win because if 2020 has taught us anything is that life is hard, but we can always overcome it when we work together and build that brotherhood. So, el año 2020 nos trajo muchas tragedias, pero tenemos que trabajar juntos. Y estando aquí en Gus Garcia, uniéndonos con las corbatas, el vestuario, estamos comunicando que siempre podemos sobresalir juntos. So, another reason we wear the tie, because it's the bond that unites us, that inspires us. And you never know who that person's gonna be. So this tie ceremony, it's kind of a rite of passage for you guys. But I'm gonna challenge you as you get older, help somebody else along the way that may not know how to tie a tie, that may not know the symbolism of why we wear ties in our community. And I'm gonna show you a short clip. Anybody can be a Gus Garcia man.
The story begins in this Park City neighborhood. A high school senior running behind schedule on his way to meet his homecoming date.
I was already running late for our pictures, and my whole group was there, and they were texting me, wondering where I'm at.
Jacob DeLeo realized he didn't know how to tie his tie, so he hustled his mom out the door to drive him to find help.
We got pulled over.
Enter Park City police officer Mike Carrillo. He's been on the force more than a decade, but this traffic stop seemed different.
As I was looking at my computer, I was having a little dilemma on whether or not I was going to cite her or not, and noticed that her son in the passenger seat was a little upset.
In a moment of desperation, the teen asked for a little help.
Her son got out of the car and came up to me, and I originally put the tie on myself to tie it, and then it was a little short, so I had to readjust it. So I put it on him and adjusted it to him.
His mom caught the whole thing on video from the driver's seat.
It's not every day you have a police officer tying your tie for homecoming day.
I know, I appreciate it.
When Officer Carrillo became a police officer, he promised to protect and serve his community.
It is the reason why I became a cop, is to help.
And as of Saturday night, that includes a little wardrobe assistance, showing that sometimes the smallest acts can help in a big way.
It seems simple, just tying a tie, but I never really had anyone to teach me that.
I just wanted for him not to have a bad day, and I could see he was already having a bad day.
Jacob made it to the dance on time.
Thank you. You're welcome. Am I allowed to give you a hug? Sure. It's so clutch.
And he says the entire night was a success.
The tie was perfect. I was actually really happy because I was...
So you heard it from this, you heard it from this man. It's a touching moment, but at the same time, I want to remind each and every one of you guys that our family situation always looks different. We don't know who that person's going to be that's going to show us our next rite of passage. It could be your father. It could be your mother's. It could be your aunt, your uncle, your grandparents, your neighbor, or even a policeman pulling you over. You just never know when you're going to cross and encounter that rite of passage. For this man, learning how to tie, it was a police officer. For others, it may be your mom, it may be your dad, it may be your uncle. The point is that as you grow up to be Gus Garcia man, pass this message on. The torch is really on your shoulders to find those people out there and touch them with that kind of kindness. I don't know if any other staff members want to jump in or share anything at this point.
Yeah, Mr. Mejia, we had a kid who went to school here about 5 years ago. It's probably about 5 years ago it happened. Caleb Roberts, some of y'all might know him from the neighborhood and the community, but he was a freshman at Reagan, now Northeast, and on the basketball team. And like Mr. Mejia talked about what professions wear ties. Well, all high school basketball players have to dress up on game days, wear a tie. Most of the basketball players on varsity did not know how to even tie a tie. So guess what Caleb Roberts, this little bitty old freshman, what he was doing to about 12 to 13 guys, 6'5", 6'7", standing on the the bench in the locker room. He was tying ties for a whole bunch of his teammates, all because he learned something here valuable at Garcia. And he did it for all those guys, and he made an impression on them, and he made that connection, and he said that he was a teammate, and he started to be a leader just as a freshman. And now he's off at college, I believe, playing basketball in a university at Minnesota. So amazing thing. And guess what? Y'all know how to tie a tie. Someone's going to depend on you, just like this young man depended on that police officer.
Thank you, Coach Morrison. And I couldn't have said it best. You just never know. Now, when we talk about being a Gus Garcia man, there's a person that you're representing. It's the namesake of our school. This man, Gus Garcia, was a high advocate for education, was an advocate for independence, confidence, working towards overcoming many challenges that I know a lot of our community and our students go through. So let's learn a little bit about what it means to be a Gus Garcia man, because this is the man that we go out and represent with our name. Okay, we might have some bandwidth issues going on here, but we all know it's 2020, so we got to give it time.
A hero is a person who takes action into their beliefs, a person who is courageous, brave, and unselfish, a person who helps others. A hero is someone willing to face their fears. A hero needs these qualities to be successful. Heroes are born, not made. To be a hero, you have to face hard things. Heroes can face those fears with passion and strength. A hero is willing to put other people's needs before their own.
So we're very honored today to have add our fifth member of our Walk of Heroes, Mr. Gus Garcia. So Gus, we welcome you today to our Walk of Heroes.
With this event and this induction into the Walk of Heroes, I'm very happy that the community recognizes his contribution. And I almost want to cry.
Gus Garcia was fearless when he signed up for the Korean War to pay for his education. He then had to work really hard to graduate from the University of Texas.
My memories of growing up with him as our father is that he was very much into talking to us about education, about intellectualism, about ideas, about using your brain power. So that was really kind of a central theme about how he raised us.
If you have an education, no one can take it away from you until.
So I want to stop there because you heard some of Mr. Garcia's accomplishments from participating in the Korean War, advocating for education, serving in the politics here in Austin. But at the same time, what this gentleman said at the very end is, when you have an education, nobody can take that away from you. Cuando tienes una educación, nadie te lo puede quitar. ¿Qué significa ser un hombre de Gus Garcia? Representando a este hombre que trabajó duro por sus metas. So I don't want you to hear it just from me. I want you to hear it from two Gus Garcia men. Pedro?
Here we go. So students, when I look at you, I see four main things. I see honor, I see pride, I see bravery, and most importantly, I see determination. Determination that you are going to get through this school year and do amazing things like I am right now. Because in this school, we pay attention to one main statement: boys yesterday, men today, and leaders tomorrow. So you may be those boys yesterday, or you may be those men today. But I can assure you, if you do great in this school and you honor the creed and you respect everybody like they are your brothers, you will accomplish those great things tomorrow because you will be those amazing leaders today. And I can assure you that because in this school, we do not just honor this statement, we live by it. So I encourage you to do great in this school year for the rest of the entire middle school age. Thank you.
That deserves a big round of applause. Anthony, do you want to add anything to it?
Sixth graders, seventh graders, and eighth graders. Being a Gus Garcia man is not just going to be during middle school, it's going to be during high school, university, when you're an adult. You can even tell, whenever you're a grandpa, you can tell it to your kids and to your niece, whatever. But when I look at everybody, I see that you're being your brother's keeper because maybe some people can afford like other clothes that other kids will wear, so they can't afford it, and like they can make fun of him, everything like that. And so wearing a uniform, everybody could get along and be a brother's keeper. And something that has happened this year is coronavirus, and you can't be your brother's keepers by helping other people tying their ties, but you could be your brother's keepers by wearing your mask 6 feet apart and like using hand sanitizer so you don't get coronavirus or don't affect other people with coronavirus.
Beautifully said, guys. You guys are definitely heroes, and you're definitely Gus Garcia, man. Mr. Garcia would be very proud of each and every one of you all. So, dress how you want to be addressed.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So was the old tie like purple and gold?
So we're going to talk about that right now. So what do the ties mean? And we'll have a staff member. So we'll go into that. But before we go into that, I want to talk about this little story, the tale of the tie, that I learned from the previous principal, Mr. Magruder here. And when I first heard it, it inspired me and really taught me a lot about the journey of being a Gus Garcia man. And the story goes like this. He told me that the little end symbolizes the sixth grade. The big end tie represents the seventh and eighth graders. And as you wrap your tie around and you start to build the knot, it represents the brotherhood that unites us under one roof here at Gus Garcia. As I push my tie through to make the knot and tighten it, it's you uplifting your brothers, pushing each other to persevere. And as I reinforce this knot and address it around my neck to look professionally and perfect, it resembles the unity that we're building here and the culture that we're building here at Gus Garcia and becoming that Gus Garcia man. So when I heard that tie of the tail, it really sent chills down my spine and inspired me to continue that tradition of the tail of the tie. So I'm going to give credit to where credit is due, and that gets a big shout out to Mr. Magruder. So we're going to go ahead and now pass it on to grade level ties. So we're going to go ahead and start with the sixth graders. So sixth graders, you have the honor of wearing a purple tie. Sixth grade, sexto grado, ustedes tienen una corbata morada, que significa que tienen gran inteligencia, que tienen confidencia y devoción para ser hombres de Gus Garcia. So again, sixth graders, if you have your purple tie right now, hombres de sexto grado, si tienen su corbata, I'm going to encourage you to tie your ceremonial tie with me right now. And there's a how-to video we'll share out. But again, it's just taking the big end, which represents the eighth and seventh graders, and you wrap it around the little end, which represents the sixth graders that you're protecting and helping build that foundation here at Gus Garcia. And you bring it around, you tie it in, build that knot for unity and brotherhood, and lock it in to build that bond. Sixth grade, congratulations and welcome to Gus Garcia.
Thank you.
Mr. Morrison?
And guys, situation here is in the risk assessment. So you know where you begin, and then you have to grade, you know where you're going. What is this? Silver tie guys, we've got that. Grade this tie means participation, knowledge of national, and worldly knowledge. You see here at Garcia, and beyond, son and so step 6, put your ties over, and you will tie well. Dig in over the little, wrap it around, flip it over. Here's a 7th grade representing into growing into 8th graders, divided through the knot, and the unity comes together. Make that knot, bring it up to the rep as you can always lift up others. Sometimes our 8th grade lift it up as well. Congratulations, 7th grade. Heck of a job. Proud of you.
And moving on to our wonderful 8th graders who unify us and take care of the rest.
Okay, greetings. So we have purple symbolizing thoughtfulness and boldness. And the silver, sophistication and confidence. So those two ideas are merging together in your 8th grade year. We talk about a right passage. You are very close to being high school. So what we're going to do here is go ahead and once again, we're going to loop the small end over. Wrap it around. And then we're going to bring the bigger end through the opening. And then that bond opening, we're going to create that and use the small end to go ahead and ensure the tie is up the correct way. It's straightened up. There's also a little loop at the bottom. Once you put the through, you can go ahead, keep that small end from coming out as you wear it. So I'd like to congratulate our 8th graders on your rite of passage and proudly wearing the Gus Garcia tie.
So we're going to skip to the last lines just because we're running out of time and we want to make sure we get the bus riders out. So we do want to recognize the golden tie recipients. Big congratulations. We're not going to go through each name, but please take into account that a gold tie represents a Gus Garcia man, but going beyond the call of duty, working towards getting good grades, working towards perfect attendance, supporting your brothers, and above all, working with our teachers and school community. So los recipientes de una corbata de oro, estos son los hombres de Gus Garcia que han recibido esa corbata de oro, porque han trabajado para sobresalir en sus académicas. Y les doy una meta. Quiero ver más nombres en esta lista en el semestre que viene. I challenge everybody for next semester coming up to be a gold tie recipient. Remember, you are a Gus Garcia man. And to end our ceremony, we have to acknowledge our teachers. So when you get a chance before the winter holiday, tomorrow's the last day of school, give your teachers a big thank you. 2020 has been hard on all of us, and they have strived to continue education and the doors of the schools open. The teachers listed here are teachers that are going to be receiving a 5 or 10 or 15-year pin. The district wants to formally recognize them because they've accomplished a series of 5 years. And every 5 years, they are recognized for completing that task. So congratulations to these teachers listed on here. Ms. Johnson, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Mendez, Ms. Ordner, Ms. Zachary, Ms. Carpenter, Ms. Vasquez, Ms. Rosado, Ms. Ramirez, and Ms. Ayala. So let's end with, I feel good, I look good, I am a Gus Garcia man. So Anthony gave me a good suggestion. He wants to end with a YMLA clap. So Anthony, do you want to lead us on the YMLA clap? All right. Anthony, nothing like a student voice to end the ceremony. YMLA cut? Do it together, gentlemen. I want to hear from the students. Ready? Take it away. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, guys. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you all for joining us. Be a Gus Garcia man.
Bye, everyone. Have a good holiday.
Thank you.
Bye.
Still don't know how to tie a tie.